As a seasoned American firearms enthusiast who spent more than a few range days running drills and testing new calibers, I've got to say, while the 9mm has built its reputation as the everyday carry king, a fresh contender has stepped into the ring, aiming to push the boundaries with greater energy, flatter shooting, and surprisingly smooth recoil. I'm talking about the .30 Super Carry, a round that's often dismissed as a solution in search of a problem, yet it deserves a much closer look. Despite the skepticism, this slim .30 caliber cartridge might just give the 9mm a real run for its money. Now, there's no denying that the 9mm has earned its place. Law enforcement trusts it, concealed carriers rely on it, and its blend of capacity, manageable recoil, and decent terminal performance has made it a go-to for decades. But firearms tech doesn't stand still, and the .30 Super Carry is a prime example of how innovation can challenge the status quo. Rolled out by Federal Premium in early 2022, the .30 Super Carry was purpose-built to match or even outperform 9mm ballistics while taking up less space in the mag. That means more rounds without giving up performance where it counts accuracy, stopping power and control. Sounds ambitious, but the numbers actually back it up. What's interesting is how the .30 Super Carry fits into the defensive pistol lineup. It hits harder than .380 automatic, but without the bulk and snappy recoil of heavier rounds like .40 Smith & Wesson or .45 automatic. It delivers energy similar to 9mm, but thanks to its narrower projectile, you get better aerodynamics and higher mag capacity in a frame that feels exactly like a 9mm handgun. If you've ever wished your slim single stack could carry just a few more rounds without jumping up in size or recoil, this round starts to look really attractive. And yet, despite all that potential, adoption has been slow. So, the question becomes, are folks missing out on something that's actually better in key areas? Let's talk ballistics. With Federal's HST defensive load and a 3.5-inch barrel, the 100-grain projectile clocks around 1,250 feet per second and delivers between 336 and 347 foot-pounds of energy. That's nearly identical to a 9mm HST, typically a 124-grain pill running around 1,150 feet per second. In ballistic gel, the .30 Super Carry holds its own. In bare gel, you're seeing expansion up to 0.59 inches and penetration around 12 inches. Compare that to the 9mm's 0.65-inch expansion and 13.1 inches of penetration. Through heavy clothing, the .30 expands to about 0.53 inches and punches through 15.5 inches of gel, while the 9mm opens to 0.571 inches with 14.5 inches of penetration. So, we're not looking at any major compromises in terminal effectiveness. One thing that makes this cartridge stand out is its operating pressure. The .30 Super Carry runs hot up to 50,000 pounds per square inch, compared to the 9mm ceiling of 35,000. Now, that might sound like it'd kick like a mule, especially with a lighter bullet. But that's not really the case. Most shooters describe the recoil as sharp and quick, not heavy, more of a fast snap than a push. That quick impulse can actually help with faster target recovery between shots. And if you're running a compensated pistol, that extra gas pressure works in your favor, flattening muzzle rise even more and speeding up your follow-ups. So while it may not have unseated the 9mm just yet, the .30 Super Carry is no gimmick. It's an intelligently designed cartridge that answers the call for higher capacity and solid performance, all wrapped in a shootable, efficient package. Whether or not it becomes mainstream is up in the air, but from a performance standpoint, it definitely earns a place in the conversation. From the perspective of a serious American shooter, one of the most impressive aspects of the 30 Super Carry is how efficiently it uses space. Since its diameter is slimmer than both .380 automatic and 9mm Luger, you can cram more rounds into the same magazine footprint. Take the Smith & Wesson Shield EZ, for example. This compact pistol can carry 10 rounds in the mag plus 1 in the chamber when chambered in 30 Super Carry, whereas the 9mm version tops out at 8 plus 1. Step up to the Shield Plus, and you're looking at 16 plus 1 in 30 Super Carry, which beats the 9mm version by at least 3 extra rounds. That might not make or break a situation for folks who always carry a spare magazine, but for those of us who rely solely on what's in the gun, those extra rounds could tip the scale in a critical moment. Now, the big issue holding the 30 Super Carry back is its limited platform availability. As it stands, only a few pistols are chambered for it, mainly the Smith & Wesson Shield EZ, the Shield Plus, the upcoming Avidity Arms P10, and a premium 1911 model from Nighthawk Custom. The major players think Glock, Sig Sauer, and CZ haven't jumped in yet, which really limits your ability to test drive this round in a familiar or trusted sidearm. Ammo is another concern. Although prices have improved somewhat, range-grade full metal jacket rounds in 30 Super Carry typically cost about 50 cents a pop, about twice as much as bargain bin 9mm brass. Defensive loads are priced more in line with high-end 9mm offerings, but it's rare to find bulk deals, which can be a problem for those who like to practice frequently without breaking the bank. On the bright side, Federal has done something smart by matching its American Eagle training loads with the HST defensive ammo. Both push a 100-grain bullet at similar speeds, so the felt recoil, point of aim, and point of impact are nearly identical between practice and carry loads. That level of consistency is a big deal for those serious about defensive shooting. Plus, brands like Remington and CCI Blazer are starting to offer additional load options, which gives shooters a bit more flexibility. As for recoil, you'd think that pushing a smaller bullet faster, roughly 100 feet per second quicker than a comparable 9mm, would make it snappier. And yeah, there's a sharper impulse, but it's not harsh. In fact, because the bullet is lighter, the recoil energy doesn't linger, so the muzzle settles quickly, making follow-up shots faster. If you already find 9mm manageable and you're chasing even quicker sight recovery, especially with a compensated setup, 30 Super Carry might actually feel better. Still, let's be real, the 9mm is deeply entrenched. It's been around since 1901, issued to military units and law enforcement agencies worldwide, and it dominates the civilian market. That kind of history brings massive support, endless gun choices, and dirt-cheap ammo. Taking on that legacy is no small task. But here's something to chew on. If we were starting from scratch today, designing the ideal cartridge for everyday carry in a compact pistol, would we still pick 9mm over something like the 30 Super Carry? For a lot of us, the answer might be no. The 30 Super Carry gives you higher capacity without compromising penetration or expansion. It punches through modern FBI protocols just fine, yet fits more densely into a magazine, which aligns perfectly with today's trend of slim, concealed carry pistols that still need firepower. And honestly, its usefulness doesn't stop at self-defense. Think about pistol caliber carbines, chamber 1 in 30 Super Carry, and you've got something lightweight, soft shooting, and high capacity. There's even room for it in competition circuits. But for any of that to take off, the gun industry has to get behind it. So, the slow adoption of 30 Super Carry isn't about performance, it's about momentum. 9mm has a century-long head start. Some folks still swear by 45 automatic or 40 Smith & Wesson, but advances in projectile design have closed the gap in effectiveness. What matters now is how a bullet behaves on impact, not just how fat it is on paper. And the .30 Super Carry, with its high-tech, expanding rounds and decent penetration, is proof of that progress. Looking purely at the data, and ignoring the current shortage of firearms and expensive ammo, this cartridge is a smart option. It balances capacity, recoil, and terminal performance better than most. The big hurdle is convincing both gun makers and gun owners to take the plunge. If one major brand threw their weight behind it, we might see a turning point. Until then, 9mm will keep its crown thanks to sheer volume and affordability. But for those willing to step out of the norm and try something with serious potential to reshape the way we carry, the .30 Super Carry makes a strong case. Whether it eventually settles into a niche like the .357 SIG or grows into something bigger depends on what happens next.